What's up, Internet? Welcome to Once Over. I'm Kaylee, and with me today I have...
Oh, Doug. Doug, I am from the podcast Good Times, Great Movies. Kelly, thank you for having me. This is an absolute blast. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be talking about this movie in particular. So,
What movie are we talking about today?
Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night II.
I loved every minute of it.
A title that's way too long, and also I don't know, how familiar are you with the Prom Night series?
Pretty familiar.
Okay. This shouldn't be part of it, right? Like, it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't need to be part of it. And by part of it, I mean nothing after one needs to be part of what one was.
So this does not at all follow in the series whatsoever. It has almost nothing to do with Prom Night 1. I think originally it wasn't even written to be part of the Prom Night series.
No, originally it was actually titled Hamilton High, and I mean, not a great title either, but I think you could just call it Hello Mary Lou and just make it a fun, like, supernatural, I don't know, horror film, slasher, whatever you want to call it, and I think it would be just as, if not more, effective.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't have the rhyming.
You're right. That's a good point.
We need the rhyme. We need Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night 2.
Do we need the rhyming? There's enough in this movie. We don't need rhymes on top of everything that's happening in this movie.
That's true. You might be right about that.
Okay, all right.
Prom Night 2, Hello Mary Lou, starts out with a flashback to 1957.
Yeah.
And we get Mary Lou Maloney walking into a church looking very chaste. So she goes into the church, she goes into the confessional, she starts confessing all the horrible things that she does, like having sex and, blah, blah, blah. And then she hits I don't know what church people are, the confessional guy, the pastor, the father.
I think he'd be a priest.
The priest.
I believe that's what Catholicism is, I think. Not familiar personally, but they're the ones that do this, right?
We're going to go with priest.
Okay. All right, great.
So she goes into the confessional, she confesses all these horrible things to the priest, and then she says, and I loved every minute of it. And she writes her phone number on the confessional wall.
Amazing.
Which is beautiful.
For a good time, call Mary Lou. And also, Mary Lou, I don't know much about you, but you probably don't have to do that. I'm sure everyone in town knows by this point.
Everybody already knows who to call for a good time. Fun fact also, the phone number that she wrote down was the screenwriter Ron Oliver's phone number. It was his actual phone number. He also has a cameo in this movie.
Okay.
And he said nobody called him.
Oh.
Hey, Kelly, how'd you blow it?
So that's what a hit. That's what a hit this movie was, is that not a single person called him after he gave out his real personal phone number.
That's such a shame. And again, I mean, I don't want to spoil our thoughts on this. I love this movie. I think it is phenomenal. It's so fun. It's really stupid. And it's also a movie that throws everything it can on screen. And sometimes in a movie that is a sequel, but not really a sequel, but totally a sequel, some of these effects are incredible. Like that, the chalkboard effect is great.
Cool. Super cool.
Yeah. It's such a shame. This thing, I have a VHS of it for some reason. I think it might be on DVD. I can't believe somebody like Scream Factory or Vinegar Syndrome or something like that hasn't scooped this thing up and given us an amazing release.
I was actually trying to buy a copy of it when I was like, oh, I don't actually own that. I should get an actual physical copy. I could not find it anywhere.
No.
It was selling for like $50 on Amazon. And I was like, well, ridiculous. I'm not doing that. Like,
right.
And then you could buy, like the $3 what I'm sure is bootlegged version from Amazon. Right. And yeah, all of like our local like video stores do not have this. They were all
No,
yeah, I was like, why is
it's
it
a
so hard to
real
find?
shame. It's a real shame for this movie, and I don't know what's holding it back. Like sometimes you'll hear things about, music rights and things like that. I mean, listen, they're using some songs from the 50s in this, but there's nothing that I think should be stopping somebody from
Making this
finding,
up.
finding I don't know, finding a cut of this thing that is in great condition and cleaning it up.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And just speaking of the music, just because I did think that this was interesting, the composer was actually Paul Zaza, I think it's his name, and he did a whole bunch of that other 80s shit. So I think he did all of the other prom night movies, but he also did Popcorn and, oh my God, I know at least a couple of other things.
Okay.
And the score I think is really interesting because it's pretty laid back. We get a couple of those, like you were just saying, those 1950s hits, but overall everything relatively, it's kind of a background element. But I think that the fact that it's a background element really lets everything else shine. And I think that's something else that's really special about this movie.
I mean, top to bottom, I've seen this, this might have been my 6th time seeing this. I'm always surprised how economical the movie is too. There's no wasted time. There's no dead space. Like I said, they're doing a ton of stuff, but it also never feels rushed either.
Yeah.
And a lot of movies, of course, a lot of slashers, a lot of horror movies introduce characters just to kill them. And I don't see that with this movie either. There aren't a ton of kills, but I think all of them sort of pay themselves off. And even the first character to get killed, other than Mary Lou, her friend who is pregnant and is I don't know, some sort of artist, like even she might be the least important character to this movie, maybe, but she's wild. Like they give a character that could have been nothing so much personality, and a lot of it has to do with, of course, the way her hair looks and how she's dressed, and the death scene, which might be the best death scene in the entire movie. It's fantastic to do that first.
Yeah. It really is. That does happen super early on in the movie. Let me talk a little bit about what happens up until that Jess death scene, because I want to talk a ton about that.
Sure.
And I think it's absolutely amazing. So basically what happens in this movie is we get this 1950s flashback. We get to see Mary Lou going to prom. She has gone to prom with Billy, who later becomes the principal of the school. In our current day sort of thing.
Can we talk about Billy real quick? The casting of this character to eventually become Michael Ironside is incredible casting.
So amazing.
And I'm only assuming Michael Ironside was not on set at this point to be like, come on, I'm already balding in high school. Because the guy they choose for him has to be in his 30s, and his hairline is already just receding to a crazy degree. Also, you look at that guy, and later on, I don't need Michael Ironside to tell me he's that kid. Yeah. I know exactly who that guy is.
That's so true. Mary Lou goes to prom with Billy. Mary Lou ends up leaving Billy in the middle of prom to go make out with Buddy Cooper, who later becomes the father, the priest. I still don't know the correct terminology for that, but
you
whatever.
Got it. No,
so she tries to bang this other guy. Billy gets upset. And so in order to get revenge on her, he is going to light a stink bomb. He drops it on stage when she is declared prom queen. But of course, disaster ensues. She lights on fire and burns a horrible, terrible death. As she is burning, she sees that he is the one who did it. So you would think that he would be the person that she wants revenge on the whole time, which is a little bit weird because in our supernatural story, as she is killing people, you just mentioned that, Mary Lou kills Jess, the weird artsy girl. Why is she not just killing Billy and his family and et cetera, et cetera?
It appears to just be people in close proximity to the individual that she inhabits. And she's like, I'll just kill everyone. It doesn't matter.
Well, it does. Yeah. I don't actually care about revenge. I just care about killing.
And also, while she's burning on stage, nobody's trying to help her. No. Everyone is just standing watching this.
Yeah.
This could have been, this fire could have been put out.
Absolutely.
A couple things in this opening scene that I loved is when she's making out with this dude hardcore, like backstage or whatever, and her quote unquote boyfriend walks in. His reaction and his line is, "That's farther than we've ever gone."
We've been pinned for a year and you never went this far.
They're just making out. And he says we've been dating for a year. Like, that's insane. I didn't have a whole lot of high school relationships, but I assume there's a little more hand stuff, mouth stuff, whatever.
Kinda.
Even in the 50s when, like, I don't know, people want to make it seem like in the 50s people didn't finger fuck till they were 25. But I assume there's a little more than that going on.
Another thing that happened with the Billy and Buddy scene. So when she's making out with Buddy and then Billy comes in, Billy is like, "This is farther than we've ever gone." And then Buddy goes, "Do you want to shake my hand? This is the closest you'll ever get."
Well, here, you want to shake? This is as close as you're going to get.
And I was like, whoa, that guy becomes the priest. Like,
Yeah.
You're kind of an ass. Like,
yeah. I mean, this moment defined these two characters' lives.
Oh,
in
yeah.
which the one guy's like, "I'm pretty sure it was the possible premarital sex that was responsible for this," and the other guy's like, "I don't know. I guess I'm just a prisoner of this high school forever now."
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a very accurate assessment. All right, so flash forward 30 years. We get this like talisman of a chest. So all of the like belongings from this prom, from Mary Lou burning her suffrage, goes into a chest. So her cape, her crown, etc. It all gets put into a chest that is kept in the basement of the school for some reason, which again makes zero sense whatsoever, but whatever.
Yeah, let's blame the principal of this time period for this, because you could just throw that stuff away. Like, you don't need to put it. I mean, first of all, the crown looks to be in pristine condition, but I can't imagine it's much more than plastic with fake gems in it. Like,
yeah, it's like
you
the
can get
Lisa
another
Simpson burnt crown.
Congratulations, Lisa. You're the new Little Miss Springfield.
Right.
That's like what it should have looked like, right?
Yeah. Yep.
We now get introduced to Vicky. Vicky is a teenager who now goes to this high school, and she's getting ready for prom, and she is dating Craig, who is the son of Billy, who again is now the principal at the school. Her boyfriend Craig is very, very cool. He rides a motorcycle. We're super impressed by him at all times. He gives her a little necklace, and the two of them really like each other, and she really wants to get a new prom dress. However, her mom won't let her. So that leads her into finding the chest in the basement, which is going to kick off the events that are happening now in today's time. But before all of that happens, we have a very important scene that is kind of a throwaway scene that I think is particularly important because, Doug, not only are you amazing on Good Times, Great Movies, but in addition to that, you have been on Who Are These Podcasts a couple of times. And so there is a really great scene that happens relating to a potato. To set up this clip, this is going to be Josh. He is another one of the students at the school, and he is going to tell us all about this potato.
Is it a fruit?
It's weird. It doesn't have a face. It's not singing to me.
Is it a vegetable?
It is a potato.
It's a radio. The potato. The potato. Nature's perfect vegetable, rich in AM, FM, and carbohydrates.
Anytime there is a potato, I feel the extreme need to talk about Cardiff. I love Cardiff, and it just reminded me of him.
And this is to introduce a character that is kind of important. I mean, important as any other character is to this.
Yeah.
This character, I don't know if you know this, and I'm not going to say this character. This actor is the only actor that is in every one of these movies, playing a different character each time. That's insane. Like, that's his entire career, I guess. I didn't look him up on IMDb. I'm sure he's done some other stuff.
I don't think that he had. I looked him up. I want to say there was like maybe one or two throwaway other things. I also rewatched Prom Night because I was like, in my memory, I really like Prom Night II better, but maybe I should revisit Prom Night, So I rewatched Prom Night, and I had forgotten that he was in all four of them.
Yeah.
And then he looks exactly the same as a child in that. Like he is completely recognizable. It is really, really hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah.
A couple of things that when we went through the beginning of this, I do want to comment on one thing that I always find really funny in TV shows and movies. I see it a lot. We just did War Games, and we saw it in there. Are teenagers before school like going to a diner or something? To me, that seems crazy. Like when I was in high school, you rolled out of bed and you got ready just in time to either get the bus or get in your car and go to school. Like at that time of day, I'm not showing up for, first of all, with her, a second breakfast of the day. She's
Yeah.
already eating with her parents. And that's pretty crazy. And also, and we'll get into prom in a minute here, like Vicky being nominated for prom queen, that seems like a goof, right?
Okay, so let's actually back up for a second.
Yeah.
Why was Mary Lou prom queen?
Well,
Was the
listen,
slut of your school, was the slut of your school prom queen?
she may not have been prom queen, but she probably could have been if she wanted to. It
Okay.
wasn't,
All right.
and my high school might not be the same as every other high school out there, but it was not the best and brightest that was prom queen. It was the most popular person, and the most popular person is sometimes a slut.
You might be right. All right. All right.
I feel like Mary Lou becoming prom queen in my mind makes way more sense than Vicky.
Yeah, Vicky definitely. I mean, she seems to be liked by her friends, but she doesn't seem to be the popular kid in school.
Right. Yeah, Vicky's just your every person.
Yeah.
The other girl, I don't know who's the antagonist of this movie. I don't know
Kelly.
her. Yeah, Kelly, prom queen. Okay. Even her quirky, weird friend, fine, maybe. But I guess she and her friends are all up for this.
Yeah. It's very weird. It's almost like everybody is nominated.
Yeah. I like that. There's no barrier for entry of prom queen.
Yes.
It's just like, here's the graduating class, pick one of them.
Good luck, have fun. Could be anyone. This is around the time in the movie where we get introduced to Jess, where we really find out about this character, Jess. So Jess is one of Vicky's friends, and she has kind of like a throwaway line earlier in the movie where she says that she's going to the doctor's. And she also is the one who suggests the idea of getting an outfit for prom from the basement, from the prop room, which is where the chest of all of the 1957 memorabilia is. And we get introduced to Jess, and Jess again ends up having this kind of very important character arc. We get to see her having this gigantically huge breakdown over what she first describes as challenges with her boyfriend, but she then reveals to be that not only is she having challenges with her boyfriend, but that she is also pregnant.
Yeah. Great scene in a movie where nobody honestly needs to act. She's at the top of her game, and she's putting everyone else, Michael Ironside included, to shame in this movie during this bathroom scene.
It's really beautiful, and it's really beautifully shot too. You get the really slow pan in, which I think is just so when you're having like an emotional conversation, that makes it so much more powerful. Very powerful scene. And of course, the response to that scene is that now that the chest has been opened, Mary Lou has been released, and we start getting the supernatural elements of this film, and we get to see Jess's death scene.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention, like, the supernatural elements of this movie don't make any sense and also don't connect in any way that I understand. Like, we're at her grave explodes for some reason at no time. She's able to kill people before becoming like corporeal, like when she's just a spirit, but then when she is a spirit, she has to, I don't know why she has to possess someone to do any of the stuff she ends up doing, but I almost think it's just so she can become prom queen again, right?
I think that that's exactly what it is. I think that her motivation is that she wants to get crowned.
My crown! He's got my crown!
That's insane, but also wonderful.
That makes it, I think this is just going to kind of be another segue. But I think that so much of what happens in this movie gets compared to all of these other movies. So we get the comparisons to like, Nightmare on Elm Street. We get the comparisons to Carrie. We get the comparisons to the first prom night. Like what is this movie really drawing from? And it's kind of hard to say because we have these supernatural elements that again don't really make any sense.
And I also don't like that idea of what is it drawing from? What does that matter? Who cares? I mean, it drawing from a bunch of different things can make you your own movie, and that's fine. And of course, I mean, come on, this looks like Carrie at times. It feels like Carrie at times. The dreamy quality of both proms fit perfectly with that. But I don't care. It doesn't bother me. And if you want to say there is some sort of Nightmare on Elm Street elements of this, great. I'm thrilled that that's what this movie's doing.
Yeah, those are all wonderful things.
Yeah.
Another good Carrie connection though is that both this and Carrie have the volleyball scene where they get hit in the head with the volleyball.
Don't blow it, Carrie, hit it!
I was like, oh, it's a volleyball.
The ball, Kelly.
A scene that makes me laugh out loud every time. Every time that ball just hits her and she just goes down immediately. I find it very amusing.
Let's get back into Jess's death scene.
Yes.
Yeesh. All right. So Jess, she is now by herself in the school. The janitor says goodbye to her. So we're preparing for the fact that she is now alone in the school. She's just doing a couple of other things. She's probably emotionally processing the fact that she's pregnant. And all of a sudden, a spirit comes. She's trying on the cape from 1957.
Yep.
And she gets
with her big like Zubaz pants or whatever she's wearing.
Oh my God. So she really is a fashion icon.
It is an outfit. It is a hairstyle. She's everything that screams 80s in this movie.
Yep.
Because everybody else just kind of looks, generic teens, which I'm okay with. Like, I don't need every movie from the 80s to scream this is a decade that I'm taking place. But boy, this woman grounds you in that decade 100%.
Oh, absolutely. So she ends up getting dragged by the cape.
Yeah.
And dragged over to like one of those paper cutter things. This is a very indecisive ghost because the ghost drags her to the paper cutter and is about to, decapitate her. And then instead of decapitating her, the ghost then pulls her over and makes it look like she's hung herself.
Yes. So do you think Mary Lou, first of all, knew her backstory and was like, okay, she just found out she was pregnant. She may have a reason to commit suicide, and chopping off your head with the paper cutter won't look like suicide. So she hung her and then threw her out the window, which is just insult to injury. And the cops, I guess, are like, I don't know, suicide, done.
I think you might be giving this scene too much credit. I really wanted to see the paper cutter scene.
Oh, me too. Yes.
If there is ever a remake of this movie, I would like that scene to be done with paper cutter.
I really do want someone to just remake Prom Night II. Just skip that. We don't need a remake of. Was there a remake of original Prom Night?
Yes, sir, there was.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. I know there's all this dumb
there's so many that just
there
fly
under the
been
radar, like
early
April
2000s
Day,
one.
They remade that. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there was.
No. Sorry.
Get down on your knees and beg for forgiveness.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Not that this needs a remake because it's also awesome.
No, it doesn't. Somebody out there just make a movie where somebody gets their head chopped off by a paper cutter.
The paper cutter. I have one of those paper cutters. I'm constantly terrified of chopping off my fingers, like constantly.
Chopping off your own head.
Yeah.
You're like,
oops,
this could happen. Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so everybody blames it on suicide. Vicky is obviously very distraught. Everybody is very distraught, except for Kelly, who is Vicky's arch nemesis, who is constantly drinking the Diet Cokes.
Yes. Kelly. Okay. So Kelly, who's our other friend? What's our other friend's name? That kind of
Monica.
Okay. Kelly is insensitive. Monica also, the day after the funeral, she walks up to Vicky and is like, Vicky, what's your fucking problem, dude?
Yeah.
Like, why are you so down in the dumps? I'm like, what? It was your friend too, right?
Yeah, they're all very weird about that.
Yeah.
They get over it pretty quick though. It stops being a topic of conversation.
Yeah. Yep.
Still just concerned about prom queen, you know. Oh, the other thing about Kelly that I thought was just completely absurd was the line where she like insults Jess and then she tells Vicky that she should also go kill herself.
The competition seems to be dwindling. You two should take the hint from Jess. You shut your fucking mouth, bitch!
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that's really setting Vicky or Kelly up to be a menace. I mean,
yes. And I don't think her death is as crazy as it should have been or as impactful as it should have been. It's kind of at that point, after we see that guy get his whole head zapped and everything, I was like, I can't wait to see what's going to happen to her. And it's kind of a downer.
Total downer.
Yeah.
Total downer. At this point in the movie, Vicky is going to become fully possessed by Mary Lou.
Yeah, we're seeing Vicky from time to time, like she's going in and out of, I guess, our reality where she'll turn around and, you know, she's at the cafeteria at one point. It's all gross and they're feeding her like, I don't know, maggot soup or something like that. And this is happening from time to time where she'll just go through a doorway and it's Nightmare Town. And then she turns around and everything's back to normal, which is fun. Like I enjoyed all those really quick cuts too.
Yeah, I totally agree. So one of the ways that we can tell when she's possessed and when she's not possessed is that when she's wearing makeup and has her nails painted red, then that's supposed to be our indicator to us that she's Mary Lou. Which that would be maybe my only criticism of this movie is that they kind of treated us, the audience, as idiots by doing that.
Oh, of course, especially when they introduce older characters who were kids at the time, and we constantly have to see Michael Ironside as a kid. Again, I don't need it. I want to ask who are those guys that made Stranger Things? The Duffer brothers or whoever those guys, I think that's their names. But I wanted to, like, those guys, my kids love that series.
Yeah.
And there's so much of that series that feels like this, where people will turn around and it's like, oh, remember that creepy dimension I was in? And then they're yanked back to reality. I guarantee you they watched this movie because it's
very
kind
much
of like
that.
Aesthetically, it's pretty much the same thing. It's great.
Interesting. I have never seen that show.
Oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
That's what I kind of gathered.
Yeah, you're okay.
I'm going to be honest. Okay, so after Jess's death, Vicky starts finding herself like plagued with these like nightmarish hallucinations. And she confides in Buddy, who again is now a priest.
Right.
And Buddy, after hearing Vicky's story, starts getting the idea that maybe Mary Lou might be back, and he gets nervous about that. And as all of these things are happening, again, Vicky is going through more and more of these moments where she is kind of getting possessed and weird things are happening, which leads us into the rocking horse scene.
Oh, amazing.
It's so short, but oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah. In a movie that's doing everything, you don't need to do this, but it's amazing. Like, just this could have been the entire movie. Just a movie about a haunted rocking horse that licks you. It's really gross. The effects are great. And also just, I don't know. I have to tell you the actress that plays Vicky, Wendy Leon? I don't know. Why isn't she in everything? Why wasn't she in everything after this? Because she is giving this her all. Later on when she's basically like, no, I'm not gonna have a towel on for this scene.
I was gonna say,
go.
I'm gonna guess that the answer to why she is not in anything else is full frontal nudity. I'm gonna guess that made people maybe not want to hire her. They're wrong to have made that decision.
Exactly.
But yeah, maybe people were a little gun shy after that. The rocking horse scene was actually one of those scenes that they had to go back to also after filming was completed. Apparently, the executive producer, who I can't even remember who it was, thought that there were parts of the film that didn't work. So they got Ron Oliver, again, the guy whose phone number it was in the beginning, to rewrite and reshoot several of the sequences. And I think that the rocking horse scene was one of them. So that's kind
That's
of
crazy to be like, oh, things don't work, so blank 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 rocking horse scene. That there's no connection. If there's a scene that was added in later just to pad time or just to create a bit of interest, I understand that, but I don't know how this scene connects anything to anything else.
No. I think that also in that list of scenes was the chalkboard scene, which you've already kind of mentioned, and then I believe also the towel scene. So like 3 of the most impactful scenes of the movie.
Yeah. Okay. Good call. Good call. Like that's I'm not saying this movie wouldn't be as great without them. It wouldn't be as great without them.
No, it wouldn't
Without
be as
those
great.
3
Yeah.
scenes, there's no way. And like this rocking horse scene is great and it's creepy and it makes her as a possessed character seem way more off-putting, because we've seen a movie like this before where it's just, oh, I'm possessed, I'm a teen, I'm gonna just kill other teens.
Yeah.
This is really taking it to a different level. And then to pile on top of that hardcore making out with your dad. Wow. And he is into it.
He does not push her away.
No. No, not at all. Yeah. This movie is taking some big swings and I think connecting with the ball every time.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, so let's talk about that chalkboard scene because we've mentioned it a couple of times now. This is just a beautiful sequence. So the way that we get to the chalkboard scene is that Kelly says something douchey. Kelly, the enemy, says something douchey. Vicky slaps her, which lands her in detention. So now Vicky is in detention and she gets sucked into this chalkboard vortex. Which chalkboard is clearly bathtub. Like, yeah, it's clearly a bathtub that they have then like, you know, changed the angle on. Something that I don't understand about it though, is that on the chalkboard, it says in backwards letters, either help me or kill me. I can't remember which. Help me, maybe. And then like the letters are swirling around in the bathtub, but the letters that are swirling in the bathtub are not any of those letters.
Yeah, it's something that kind of pulls you out of how great this is, because they're just big giant decals that are stuck onto here, because the writing is so small. She has to get right up on the board and squint to actually read it. And then you're right, at the end it's these gigantic, like on a kindergarten board, printed on letters that are just goofily like,
but again, that aren't even the same letters. Like if it was the same letters, at least I could have an imaginative, like they grew, you know, like those little dinosaurs that you put in the bathtub and then they grow bigger, you know, like.
No, but there's like a giant C and I'm like, well, there was no C in any of what she was reading. So I understand what they're trying to do. But the effect is great.
Yeah, it's so good. It's again, it's one of those just really, really, really stunningly beautiful scenes.
There's a lot of really interesting, like, I don't know who did the effects for this and set design even. This movie looks really great.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and some of the stuff I just don't know, even just the locker, just like crunching up that locker is so cool. I mean, turning a person into somehow like a meat smoothie is fun enough. But yeah, this clearly looks like it was shot inside of a high school. Everything looks like it was shot like on location in, you know, somewhere in Canada. But it looks great. This whole movie does.
It really does. I love, you just mentioned the locker scene. So that is how Monica dies. So let's jump ahead and let's talk all about the locker room scene, because again, that is one of the most impactful scenes in the movie. So this is going to be Vicky possessed by Mary Lou.
Yeah, she's full on possessed by this point. Yeah.
She finds Monica in the locker room and Monica is obviously in the shower. Because that's what you do in a locker room, and you get to see Monica's butt. And then Vicky starts attacking her.
Now, I always thought this was the case in girls' locker rooms. Kaylee, you can tell me if I'm right. Do you go into the shower with your friend and lightly kiss her nose and then forehead
and then laugh about it?
Like before she starts to be slightly concerned about this. Because she's
so
even like,
weird.
Vicky, you're a maniac. You're acting all crazy. I'm gonna talk to your boyfriend about this, and he's gonna put a stop to it, whatever that means. And then she just wanders into the shower. First of all, after everyone else has appeared to have showered and is done with gym class or whatever. Oh,
Nope,
she has
not
she's on
normal.
like private shower time. Okay, all right. I mean, you're destroying some fantasies in my 12-year-old brain.
This is
but
what you
I
want to
understand.
happen in girls' locker room.
Just the shower kisses. That's all.
All right, okay,
Nothing,
all right.
nothing beyond that.
All right, the shower kisses are real.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, good.
Okay, so Vicky, possessed by Mary Lou, starts chasing Monica around. Well, stalking is probably a better word. Starts like very creepily stalking Monica around the locker room. And originally, both of them were supposed to be wearing towels, but Vicky, the actor Wendy Lyon, decided that she was going to be full on naked, like you mentioned, and so it is full frontal.
Yeah.
Which is, we don't get a ton of that. That was
No, I mean, I do appreciate that this was an actor's choice. It's not the director being like, here's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
You're gonna drop that towel and we're gonna go head to toe full frame through this entire sequence. And it was her choice to do it. I appreciate that. I think it's really great. And I think, it's something that you certainly don't see for obvious reasons, of course. But there's something that at that point really felt like, Mary Lou's like, this is not me. This is not my body. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to run around in a towel. It might, interfere with my ability to murder my friend.
Yeah. So what happens with what the murder is, this is probably my favorite kill. Jess's kill is really great, but there's something about she crunches she telekinetically crunches the locker that Monica is hiding in.
A wop bobbaloo bop, a wop bam.
And the only place that I really I was like, why did you ruin this whole scene for me? Is the whole time she's running around naked. And then right after she kills Monica, or maybe right before, you can see a little bit of towel in the bottom of the...
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
And I was like, no, but you've been naked this whole time. Why do you magically have a towel? Somebody fix the framing of the shot, please.
Yeah. Again, our friends at Vinegar Syndrome do this, and just you can digitally
get rid of the towel, please. I love that whole sequence, though. I think that it's super successful. I think that Wendy Lyon is beautiful. I think it was just really, really well done.
It's great. It really is. And just the escalation of these murders and her becoming evil, or her becoming Mary Lou or whatever, is great, because this is right before prom, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It also is not the only telekinetic thing that Mary Lou does. I just remembered. She also smashes her mom through the front door.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That woman had it coming more than any other character in this movie.
I don't know that we ever find out that her mom dies, though, which is a little bit weird.
No, I mean, please free that man from the prison that is this marriage. But no, I don't. No, we never
find out.
That's not in a postscript at the end. Oh, and by the way, her mom's dead.
That would be an amazing postscript.
Sure. Yeah,
I'm going to make my own cut of this movie, and that's going in. That's going to be the only change. It's going to be great.
Oh, there's a really great scene, and it's a talky scene in a movie where so much happens. I really enjoyed this when Buddy the priest goes to visit his old friend, his old friend, the principal, and they're standing talking about this. And Buddy, again, listen, we're not sure if he's a preacher or a priest or what is going on. I understand that. But he's standing there with a book that I assumed is the Bible. And he's like, see it right here? It says that she's going to come after both of us and she's going to kill us. And I'm like, I don't think that's in the Bible. I don't know what book you're reading.
What book?
Right?
What book is this, sir?
Yeah, he's really like, here it is in black and white, man.
Maybe Mary Lou put it in there. We don't know. She's all powerful.
Maybe
she can do whatever she wants.
Oh, she also did murder the preacher or the priest, which
Oh,
I
yeah.
love. When she goes to confessional, it's like, hey, would you want to fuck me, you asshole? And then puts a crucifix right through his head, which is great.
That crucifix scene, that's another really good kill. It's a little bit, that's another shot where it's like, I would like to see a little bit more of it.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
it's super effective. And again, you mentioned earlier, not a lot of kills, but all of them are great. Like the kills that we do get are super fun. They're super unique. I'm not missing anything from the fact that the kill count is low.
No, and I wouldn't think that the kill count is as low as it is. The movie ends and you could tell me she killed 20 people. I'd believe you because it's that entertaining. It's not like a lot of those Friday the 13th where it's just, I'm just watching kids wander around through the woods, just waiting for someone to die or take their top off or something. No, this movie it's like I said, it's economical. It's using all of its time in the most entertaining way possible.
Like I get same exact thing. I thought for sure that like 20 people died, but they don't.
Yeah. I mean, she's not full on possessed until over an hour into this hour, whatever, 28-minute movie.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And yet it's so much fun.
Yes.
All right. So that brings us to the prom.
Yeah.
All right. So we are now going to get to see Josh, who we really haven't talked about very much. Josh, again, is the potato guy. He is trying to date Monica. He is friends with all the people. And Josh is also the person who controls the computer vote for who is going to be prom queen, which I think is hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Don't think about it too much. How were these votes cast? No, don't think about it. Don't think about how it's a computer vote or else you might hurt yourselves, but it's a computer vote.
Very important in the 80s that would be what happens.
It appears that the computer room is also connected to a dark room where he has pictures of all of the nominees. Why?
He should be like the next killer. Like
he should be the next principal.
Yeah, he's terrifying, kind of. He can't be though, because we're about to see him die.
He's not terrifying. His weird, awkward interactions sometimes with her friend when he's like, well, wait a second, maybe we could go to prom together. And she's like, no, that would be horrible. Because what if we kiss? And he's like, well, if we kissed right now, then it would
alleviate that problem.
It is kind of fun. Also, the fact that her friend's like, how come dudes don't ask me to the prom? And the one guy behind her is like, hey, can I talk to you after class? And she's like, shut up, fuckface. Don't bother me.
I thought that was a cute dialogue though, because like that's a total thing that high school chicks would do.
We also didn't talk about how that perv of a science teacher like grabbed her ass in the middle of class, so she burned him with this.
But she was Mary Lou at that time. She was like pushing her butt into him, and then like
she seemed upset that it happened though. And
she seemed upset that it happened, but then she made out with her dad.
Right. She's like, you may be of the right age, but we're not related. So
you are not my biological father, so I am not interested.
Right.
Oedipus,
I assume after all of this, after prom, that science teacher's like, oh man, I got off easy. Like it was a slight burn, but that was it.
All right. So Josh is controlling the computer vote, and he gets bribed by Kelly to make her win because Kelly really wants to be the prom queen. Originally, Kelly says that she's going to pay him $100, and Josh is like, no, I want a blowy.
Bad idea. A bad idea to, I don't know how you broker this deal, but this was a bad move on her part because he could easily be like, all right, hey, thanks for that. By the way, you totally lost. Because what are you going to do?
You can't do anything.
Are you going to run to the principal? You going to tell your friends? No.
Yeah, you have absolutely nothing to hold against him.
Right.
And as she insinuates later, her breath still smells like his cum. So
her boyfriend is into it though.
Breath smells great.
Kiss me more.
That guy, that surfer boyfriend of hers who should not be in this movie, should not be in the middle of Canada at all.
He's so adorable though. Speaking of Canada, this movie is so clearly Canada. Not only do we get all the stories But also Josh, during the bribery scene, he is drinking Labatt Blue, which is a Canadian beer. So
right, exactly. Yes.
I mean, I just love that. Like,
speaking of potatoes, this is such a Canadian movie.
Oh, Cardiff. So Josh gets his blowy, which I also don't understand, like, how he could get aroused during that. Like, I realize that he has like teenage boy hormones.
Yes.
But like, she is clearly not into it in any way, shape, or form. So I just don't understand how that happened. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I can figure.
All right, okay.
Right.
I retract my statements. All right, so Josh is going to change the computer vote. And as Josh is about to do this, Vicky, possessed by Mary Lou, so I guess Mary Lou officially electrocutes him, which is a rad scene also.
It's awesome. It's really great because I want to know what they told this actor to do, because I don't think he knows that this has anything to do with basically lightning.
He's like, it's so good.
It's so the makeup is fantastic. Even after he kind of collapses, you see that blood has sprayed onto the computer screen, which is a really nice touch.
It is.
But yeah. Also, I like how Mary Lou understands modern technology, and she's like, I know how I can take this dude out.
Yeah. Let me just touch this wire over here.
Right.
Very beautiful. Also, why did that wire connect to it? But whatever.
Yeah. I also, one of the funniest parts of this movie, and I don't know why I don't know why this choice was made. I know why they're doing this, but when her friend is like, have you seen Vicky? Like, she's dressing crazy.
There is something weird with her. You've got to see the way she's dressed.
Like, why didn't they dress her up like Olivia Newton-John at the end of Grease? Like, that's what I want to see. But instead, she's like not even really wearing a poodle skirt. It's just a sweater that looks slightly out of date.
That would have been so good.
Yeah, because that would have been
She's
a
also
shocking
talking
thing.
Crazy, though.
Oh, yes.
She looks like she's in a fashion coma.
She talks like we're in an Elvis Presley movie.
The amount of times characters in this movie say, see you later, alligator.
See you later, alligator.
See you later, alligator.
See you later, alligator.
There has to be more times in film history.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, it's great.
We also get the infamous line,
It's not who you come with, it's who takes you home.
which I think is in all 4 of the prom nights. Apparently, though, so it was in the original prom night.
It's not who you go with, honey. It's who takes you home.
And like we mentioned earlier, Prom Night II was not originally a prom night movie when it was written. It was Hamilton High. But I think that line was already written into the script.
Oh,
even before they decided to make it Hello,
I like
Mary
that.
Lou.
Okay,
Which is kind of cool. Like,
Yeah.
and again, I mean, that's like a thing that if you're leaving your boyfriend at a prom, that's absolutely what you would
I
say.
do like to think that the scriptwriter knew about the original, was like, I know this is called Hamilton High, but just in case, just in case something happens, I'll just put this line in here.
So, because Josh has been electrocuted, Vicky officially wins prom queen.
Yep.
And then as she wins, she gets shot by Billy. Billy yet again kills the prom queen.
The best line, and I know he doesn't say this, I know he says his name, but just the kid at prom being like, hey, our principal just shot Vicky. Like, it's great. Also, the fact that he just kind of leaves at the end of this movie is like, well, no, you have eyewitnesses that saw you shoot a student. I know crazy stuff happened after that, but maybe you should be answering some questions.
Yeah, nobody tried to take him down. Like, it was just like, okay, yep, I guess it's just what happened.
Yeah. I also like how he gets up into his same, like, sort of sniper's nest up there that he was in at the beginning of the movie.
On the little catwalk. It's very reminiscent of the good old days, 1957. So Vicky getting shot results in Mary Lou climbing out of her body, which is like, oh, it's so gnarly and so beautiful. I didn't think I remember the first time that I saw this movie, I did not think it would be possible to top the burning in the original Prom, in the 1957 Prom, because that whole sequence, that whole fire sequence in the beginning is amazing. But
Yes.
this Mary Lou climbing out of her body and like decrepit and disgusting is so beautiful.
She's all burnt up, and also her sort of transformation just back into regular Mary Lou. Side of her face is still a little bit burned, but no, that terrifying creature that crawls and again bursts out of Vicky's chest cavity is another human being, is super cool.
It's so cool. And I think that this is then when we also get the Kelly death scene, because the lighting fixture falls on her.
Yeah, it's just like a neon squiggle that goes through her or something.
Yeah. Which is boring.
But I also like to think that Mary Lou's like, I don't know, she did just blow that dude. Like, I mean, maybe it should be a pretty quick death. Maybe she suffered enough. Right? Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So Billy is now going to show up with the crown to distract Mary Lou.
Yeah, if this movie has one fault, it's that the end is pretty long and kind of meandering. Like we're going through the school, we're back in like the storage dungeon for a bit. The trunk opens up, it's sucking people in. Her boyfriend's there, the principal's there. There's a lot happening at the end of this movie.
There's a lot happening at the end of this movie, and something that, again, I just had to rewatch this twice in order to prepare for this. Something that I had not figured out. I remember the first time that I watched it, in that scene where they're in the diner, Mary Lou says to her boyfriend, Craig, she says, no, that stuff will kill you, when he puts sugar into his coffee.
Yeah.
And then that is how Craig is able to confirm that Vicky is herself and not actually Mary Lou anymore. So Craig again asks her, sugar in your coffee? And she says, no, it'll kill you. And that's how he has confirmed that this is the true Vicky and not Mary Lou anymore, which is like, that's such a throwaway line. Like,
It's the most throwaway of lines.
I appreciate that we needed some sort of checkpoint to see if this is Vicky or if this is Mary Lou, but it could have been like anything else.
Yeah, it could have been something a little more interesting.
What kind of necklace did I give you?
Right. Right.
You know, like,
yeah, it's really strange. And I guess, I mean, at that point, it's meant to be a joke. Like, you're meant to sort of laugh at that. And maybe we're supposed to laugh or be meant to laugh at how stupid it is. But no, I hate to say that.
And then the actual official end of the movie is going to be Vicky and Craig getting into a car with Billy. Vicky is now herself again. And then Billy, of course, is now wearing Mary Lou's ring, indicating that he is now possessed by her. And they scream and drive off.
Great.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Yes, you did not need to do that. Every movie does that, and most movies fumble it, and it's terrible. But I'm afraid of Michael Ironside already. Like, just baseline afraid of that dude. Also, the Mary Lou license plate on the back of the car, just that touch, fantastic.
I love it. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. I love it. I think that was the perfect end. And again, it kind of brought together the end of this like fumbling ickiness that we had in the sucked into vortexes and, you know, blah, 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 blah. All of
there's
that.
a lot of fan machines and fog machines at the end of this movie. It's a little bit too much at that point. We already saw a burnt husk like crawl out of another person. You can kind of end it in 30 seconds.
It's okay. Yeah. And yeah, that's the entirety of this movie.
Yeah. Again, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's something that if people have not seen, I think it's on Tubi for free. It might be on Shudder. I'm not sure. Check it out. Honestly, if you enjoy horror movies and this is just a weird blind spot because it really isn't available, please do yourself a favor and go see this movie. Even though we've talked about it, like I could watch this again right now and still have fun with it.
Absolutely. It is by far the best movie in the Prom Night series for me. Probably one of my favorite 80s slasher films.
Yeah.
Up there with the supernatural stuff also. I mean, it's just all around amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
I can't say enough good about it. So on my channel, I like to do a rating system out of 7 thumbs up. So how many thumbs up would you give this movie out of 7?
Well, you know what? This is my first time on your show. I hate to come out swinging with a 7. I got to give this a 7. I really do. I mean, maybe 6.5. If you can cut a thumb in half, maybe if you can take like the top quarter of the thumb off.
Yeah, you have 7 thumbs. You can manipulate them.
Yeah, but no, I think I'm gonna give it a 7. I think that, you know, as I saw this when I was probably in high school. I enjoyed it then. I appreciate it more and more every time. And I appreciate it more and more for every terrible horror movie from the 80s or beyond that I've seen. I appreciate how well made this thing is.
I completely agree with you. I would also give this a 7 thumbs up. I think it's just absolutely amazing. I think it's super fun. It's one of those movies that you just want to watch it again and again and again. And I feel exactly the same as you. I could watch this again right now and have an amazing time with it. It's one of those movies that you want to watch with friends. It's one of those movies that you want to put on in the background. It's one of those movies that you want to watch when you're having a bad day or a good day. It's just great. There's nothing bad about it.
Agreed.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my channel. Will you tell everybody where they can find you?
Sure. My podcast is called Good Times, Great Movies. We do the podcast every other week, and it is always a movie from the 80s. We never leave that decade. It can get tiresome sometimes, but it's always so much fun. I don't know when this is going to come out, but we are doing the ill-advised experiment to watch Bo Derek movies all of December. It's terrible. I can't express how bad these movies are. And we started with Tarzan the Ape Man, and I was like, this is dog shit. Then we watched the next 2 from the 80s. They're worse. Somehow they're worse than one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Bolero is so bad. My co-host, she couldn't even finish it. I was like, don't worry, I'll do the episode. You just there to I don't know, bounce questions off of me. It's horrible.
Yeah, that is horrible. But probably in the same vein as Hello, Mary Lou, lots of nudity in those, I'm assuming.
A lot of nudity to the point where you're like, all right, Bo Derek, I know what you look like under your clothes. Like, I'm tired.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't justify 2 hours of Bo Derek trying to deliver lines to Sarah with their shirt off a few times.
It makes sense. I believe that. All right. Well, thank you again so much, Doug. I am going to link all of your stuff down below in the description. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I can't wait for the next one.
All right. Thank you.